Green is recognized for question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to point out, it was said on this committee earlier that the border wall was an anti-American movement. That was said by a Democrat member earlier, and I think that is an egregious thing to say. The border wall was, being built to protect our country, protect our border, help our Border Patrol agents. I think the most anti-American moment in this country was when a giant fence was erected around the Capitol and left there for months, and our U.S. military was brought in and forced to sleep on the floor in parking garages for months at a time. I think that's an anti-American moment. But I'll move on. The CBP1 app.
Would the gentlelady yield?
No, she will not. I will not.
All right.
The CBP1 app is now allowing the orderly invasion of 1,500 illegal aliens per day into our country. And this is a serious problem. Mr. Johnson, as you live, you said, is it 3 miles from the border?
Yes, ma'am.
Has the CBP1 app, with its orderly invasion, sending people to ports where they can make an appointment in their convenient time and choose a port of entry where they show up, and then they're allowed to come into the United States at the expense of the United States taxpayer, has this slowed down or stopped people from crossing the border and coming onto your land?
I can't speak to how the app's really helped because up until just a few months ago, I wasn't even aware of this app, but we still have traffic coming through. It has slowed since Title 42 was lifted, but it has never stopped completely.
So it's never stopped. So people are still crossing the border illegally onto your land. This headline, I read it on our earlier panel. DHS announces steps to protect border communities from wall construction. This was an actual headline from 2021, April 30th, 2021. Did the wall construction or the border wall, did you feel threatened? Was your safety threatened by the wall?
It was quite the opposite. We were so glad to see it. It was, like I say, an answer to our prayers because that was going to be some safety and security we had never seen before.
That's what I thought. It seems like it was a very good thing. It was actually helping. We had a Democrat amendment on this committee to disarm Americans 200 miles into the United States, taking away their guns. That would be you. It would take away your guns if that were made law. Do you think taking away your guns would help keep you and your family safe from the people that are constantly invading, coming across the border onto your land? Would taking away your guns help keep you safe?
Absolutely not. In our area, we are so rural. The only law enforcement we have is Border Patrol. Sheriff's departments stretched thin. Response times are well over an hour. You have to rely on yourself for your own safety.
So the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms, is your first line of self-defense.
It's not just a luxury, it's a necessity.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. In my district, Georgia's 14th district, which is in northwest Georgia, this is far away from Texas, far away from the border. The fentanyl-involved deaths have increased in Georgia alone, have increased by over 230%. But in my district, fentanyl-involved deaths have increased by over 350%. And this looks to be, as it has to be, a direct result of the Biden administration's policies. And you can't help but to wonder, what would it be like in my district? What would it be like in Georgia? What would it be like in the rest of the country if 300 Americans weren't dying every single day from fentanyl? So Mr. Vitiello, I'm sorry if I keep saying it wrong, I apologize. Would it be fair to describe the border wall, had it been completed, or at least what we have, as a force multiplier for Border Patrol in areas where it was installed?
100%. Where you have that barrier, you have an anchor for all of the technology and all the operations that need to occur in that place in the world. And so when you control that area, that gives agents more opportunity to find and rescue people that are in distress, to find and rescue people who are being trafficked, to stop fentanyl from coming into the United States. It's a terrible situation that we're in. We talked a little bit about smuggling through these areas. All smuggling is organized, whether it's narcotics or people. And these cartels are being enriched because the pipeline that was opened up at the beginning of this administration is still open, regardless of CBP-1, regardless of the number of people, the reduced apprehensions, the reduced encounters. There's still thousands and thousands of people coming to the border every 24 hours. And having the right kind of infrastructure, having enough and sufficient agents, well-trained, and having the technology to support them is still important and always will be. I did this work for a long time. The American people have demanded a secure border for the entirety of my career, most acutely after 9/11, but that desire still continues, and it hasn't been addressed in a sufficient way. There was a lot of progress made in the last administration. That's all been ripped down now.
Thank you. I yield.